talk about squash, yellow and green squash. The green is usually called zucchini, and then you just have the yellow regular squash. This you have to be very, very careful with because it cooks very, very quickly. I was preparing a meal yesterday, but something happened. I'm not going to tell you because I have to deal with somebody about that meal, something that I had bought. But I cut these in chunks after I rinsed them, and what I'm going to do is put them in very little water and practically steam them. Because if you overcook these, they're mushy and soggy, and most people don't like squash because it's mushy. So, if you're going to do this and cook this, let me see. You're going to put about that much water in the bottom of your pot. That's very little, okay? Now, I can't start these yet because I got to get these potatoes going first. But that's how much water you're going to use. And I'm going to cook all of these in that. But let me get these. I've got to get these going. I just seem to be running out of time today. There isn't enough time these last couple of days for me in a day to get everything done. I know autumn's coming. The windows have to be clean and all of that. I'm actually getting the house ready for autumn. Now, for those of you who don't know, I do not peel potatoes unless I absolutely, unequivocally have to peel potatoes. That's why I dice them small, and I'm going to boil these with just enough water to cover. And this is exactly 1.5 pounds of potatoes. Most people just cut potatoes and mash them up and say, well, that's enough for the family. You really don't know. But this is a basic recipe. I just love the way they do these potatoes, you know. Just so rich, you know, you just can't say no to these potatoes. This recipe is just unbelievable. And the truffle one is like a piece of heaven. Oh my God. I like to add 2 tablespoons of truffle oil to the potatoes instead of the 2 teaspoons. I like it better with the extra. And it is so good. Oh my God. I didn't think I was going to like caviar eggs, but dang, those were so good. I'll tell you something about yellow squash. There was a time, I was in my 20s, so I'm going back 50 years now, when we bought yellow squash. The yellow peeling you see was so far in, it was into here. And when you tasted it, cooked, it had a horrible taste to it. You could taste chemicals in it. So I quit buying squash, yellow squash, for many, almost 40 years. And then I decided one day I would try them again and just see if it wasn't, I'd just trash it and say, that's it, I'll never have them again. The taste was gone, that bitterness of chemicals in it. don't know where those came from, but that was at the same time. Cancer was in broccoli and cauliflower, even celery. If you cut open a celery and it was hollow in the inside, or you could see that it was breaking down, that was cancerous. We had to learn all these things. It was a quick lesson. So if you wonder where cancer comes from, think of what they're putting on the food. That's where it's coming from. We're doing it to ourselves. It's just some people's bodies are more sensitive to it. And I found out by my girlfriend, her mother was a sweet gem. She was very nice. And every time things got hard, she used to say, every little thing's going to be all right, to give her daughter strength. And I learned, because nobody in my family had cancer, that you have it, they cure it, but then you only have so many years before it returns. They can only vouch for so many extra years that you're going to get. That's not very hopeful. But with everything that we're doing causing the imbalances in the food, the water, and everything that we're doing, we are giving ourselves cancer. And they know it. You know why? When they tested the atom bomb for the first time, they had soldiers sitting miles away, and they told them to sit there, and they wanted them to face to see this bomb. Face it, right? Miles away. Those men later on in life ended up with cancer. So the survivors at ground zero, when we bombed, they had DNA problems. Children born with feathers, deformities you would not believe. They didn't even look human. They killed those children as they were born. It took a long time for the recovery. And you wonder why we have cancer today and it can't be cured. We're poisoning ourselves. As far as I'm concerned, it's poison. We're poisoning ourselves and bringing it down around. But this all deals with nutrition, because your health. If you're healthy, you're all right. But with the way they're doing the food, I think you should arm yourselves as best you can about everything. Because your family's health depends upon it, your health depends upon it, even your pets. You don't know what they're putting in the pet food. I look at my cats and I said, you won't eat the food that I make. And I worry about what's going to happen to them. I might have to put them down when they get sick. All right, now we're going back to the squash. Now I'm going to watch this very closely, because there's a good chance I could run out of water. And if I put this much water in, they get real soggy, so I'm real careful to put just a little bit of water and watch that pot. I'll be back. The squash water just started to boil, so I turned it down on simmer right away. Okay, the yellow squash is done. I'll take it out and show you. in it as well. So I put so little in it, but yet I end up with more than I put. But anyway, they're tender and they're just done. And as you can see, they did not fall apart. The seeds are still there and it's not mushy. And I take it out right away because then they keep on cooking. So let me get these potatoes